This is Tell Me What to Read, powered by Booktopia. I'm Nick Wasiliev, and today we sit down for a special discussion between two television icons, Larry Emdur and Brendan Jones, as they discuss Larry's new book, Happy As, Brendan's book, 50 Shades of 50, their experiences growing up, television stories, and more. Check the show notes for timestamps for each interview, and if you enjoy our content, drop us a review on Apple Podcasts, a like on Spotify, or wherever you are listening to our show. Now over to Brendan Jones and Larry Emdur.
Welcome to Tell Me What to Read, and we're joined by Larry Emdur, who I thought was going to be interviewing me, but it seems that I'm interviewing him.
No. You know what? You've got the better microphone, so I'm going to interview you because you sound really good. That's
not even plugged in. It's just fake.
How's the book going?
Your book or my book?
Your book.
Well, my book's ancient because it was called 50 Shades of 50. But what I did do, there's my book that came out.
Great book, great cover.
Still available right now at Booktopia, by the way. Larry Emdur's book, Happy As Larry. I'll say this as well. This book I got from my son's room. It's the one that I signed and gave to him for his, as a special thing. Notice how crisp it is and unread. Hasn't. So I'm expecting the same. Also, what I did do, Larry, just for you, I've got these scales. I don't want to, I know we can compete a bit. I just want to weigh the various tones because your book, although seems a bit thicker than mine.
Yes.
Mine is probably bigger.
Yeah, I reckon yours is pretty good value for money, I reckon. But I reckon you because you're in radio and you're like a professional broadcaster, I reckon you would have used big words too. You would have been on Wikipedia, on thesaurus going, I know there's a 4-letter word, but I want to use the 12-letter word with Latin emphasis. You would have done that.
I would have done it. I sure did that. So I'm just weighing my book. Mine comes in at 448 grams.
Very good.
And yours, 450 grams. You're 2 grams heavier.
But there's a lot in that 2 grams. There's some great writing in that extra fat. That's the fat around the chop.
You know what I did like in this book that I really enjoyed was how you were talking about you don't trust TV to make your living. I know you've made your living for the lion's share of your career out of TV.
Yes.
But I remember years ago, you and I were at Channel 9. I was doing stuff with Kerry Ann.
Yes.
And we were at a Humphrey B. Bear picnic with our respective children when they were little. And I think they just stopped Price is Right. They just...
Yes.
And you were standing there, and I remember we were just, standing around having an ice cream cone in the sun at Channel 9 at the helicopter pad. And I said, so what happens now? And you said, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. What am I going to do? Yeah. And I said, well, you'll be fine. You go, no, that's it. TV's done for me. And I remember saying, well, no, how's it done? And you said, no, that's it. I'm going to do something else. Yeah. And so that would have been, I'm guessing this is 2005, maybe 2004.
Right. Yep.
And then boom, morning show, 2006, and you've been
off we go.
Gainfully employed since.
They're tricky times, and you know this too. TV is can be a rough ride. And when I said that to you, and I would have said that 10 other times during my career because, and I say this hand on heart, you just don't know. And you can't plot your own course in TV. It's impossible. I have mates who have fabulous careers. They left school and they started at this level of their business and they went to this level and they could plot a course. They could chart a course. I can't do that in TV. I can't say the year after next, I want to be doing this. And then I'm going to go and educate myself in that section of the industry. And then I'm going to go and do this. I've never, ever once been in control of my career. So you have to toughen up with that. You have to realize that that's the way it is and then how to work around surviving around that. But when I saw you then, yes, I'd come off that really big show. It was one of the greatest shows. And I thought, what do I do now? But not only what do I do now, but will anyone in the industry want me to do anything? And that's the reality of it. So the reality is that then and there, as we stood at that chopper pad eating a melting ice cream at Channel 9, that there was the reality that I may never work in TV again because I've done that show, I've been axed from that show, and up comes the next guy to do the next thing or the next girl to do the next thing. So that is the way the TV business works. I feel very, very lucky to be sitting here with you coming up to 40 years in the business. But at the same time, there's been plenty of axings and episodes along the way where I've gone, that's it, I'm done. There've been rubbish shows when you finish on a rubbish show and you go, okay, now I'm unemployable. I'm technically unemployable.
But that's not the case though. I've dabbled in TV enough to know that I've retired from going for TV shows, like The Chase. Like they actually campaigned me for The Chase before you. I actually said, I probably shouldn't be saying this story, but I don't care. I'm burning that bridge. I said, why don't you get Larry Emdur? Why aren't you using Larry Emdur? They said, oh, look, we're looking at other people. But that show, it was my last, and I'm glad you got it, by the way, but it was my last hurrah as far as a show goes. And it's so hard to do. Like when I went for the thing, I went, man, this is a really complex show. Bearing in mind, I've already done a screen test some years ago for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And comparing the two shows, I find The Chase a lot harder. Yeah. Because that last bit at the end, stop the clock and all that. There's a lot to do. But it's so hard that when you get lured into this stuff, and I'm a task-driven person, and you think, oh, okay, it's going to happen. And then no one calls you.
And these are people in the communications business. How good are people in the communications business at communicating?
They're terrible. But anyway, that's my thing. I just can't have my heart broken by TV because it becomes, and my agent, what happens now when I talk to the agent, she goes, oh, Brendan, there's a show there. And I just go, Bev, I can't do it. Honestly, I can't. And now I talk myself, and The Chase was the last one I really put into that. And I don't want you to feel bad or anything about it.
I'm feeling pretty bad.
I know, because this is not supposed to, this is about your book, not me and my therapy. Right. So anyway, but
it's a funny business, mate. It is a funny business, but we've had a good time. We've got lots of good stories to share. I've been lucky, I've been lucky. But like you, I've auditioned for so many things, and it can be heartbreaking, I know. But then by the same token, I've ended up hosting a lot of shows that, upon reflection, well, look, I'm torn because I don't have any regrets in the business because all of that leads to me being here now, right? So everything I've done, even the rubbishy shows, I'm kind of grateful for because it's just another step on the path to the morning show or to The Chase or to writing this book. So I'm grateful for those opportunities, albeit some of them have been pretty dodgy along the way.
What I love in your book? I love the story of the castle, how... Because I just thought that was filmed in the studio. That was actually happening, but that wasn't the case.
No, it was in the studio.
It was in the studio?
For people who, well, probably most people haven't read the book yet. It's just a lovely story about how I was the host of The Price is Right at the time. And we got a letter to say this little film company is shooting a little low budget film. And they want to come in and shoot a bit where the daughter in the family is on The Price is Right, misses out on the VHS machine or whatever it was. And they came in and filmed it. It was Sophie Lee, of course, who I knew. And but we didn't know, I don't think anybody predicted what the castle would go on to be. Anyway, that little movie was The Castle. And as I've mentioned in the book, all the critiques say that it was the best representation of Larry Emdur playing Larry Emdur hosting The Price is Right ever on the big screen. Ever. No one else could play me as good as me hosting my show, The Price is Right. So go me.
You know what I used to love about you on The Price is Right? And you know what? You are TV. When I look at you, and I used to love the way you flick that card.
That's it.
Say, and the card would go, throw to Sean Cosgrove. It would just be the greatest thing in the world. It was
the car fly through shot. And the producer would say, don't throw the card because we see it go through the camera. I'm like, yes.
No, that's entertainment.
That's the card throwing right there.
So that's the problem with producers. They don't know. They're like, this is TV. It's not a place of entertainment.
Yeah, right. That's right.
I know, because you can't slag off producers because I'm burning my bridges with TV. I burn all my bridges. So.
Correct. No, you can. That's in the next book when I'm not working. See, when you're working, you got to be nice to people. Oh, I love this guy and these people and that team. But no, that's not true. I actually love them. I've had such a nice run. And I think that's reflected in the book too.
Well, I think the title itself, Happy as Larry. Look at you. I've never seen you not happy. Even when I remember one time I was on your boat and I might have had a few beers.
Might have.
And I was winding up the anchor and I might have, with my foot treadle, because it's one of those anchors, you know, and
Yeah.
the anchor might have dunked into your boat.
Yes, it did dunk. You dunked my boat.
And luckily, Joe Lamble,
Our resident psychologist, yes.
because he was on the boat, and I was being very apologetic to you. I said, Larry, I'm sorry. And Joe said, look, what you have to do, Brendan, is just let that go. Larry's chosen to forgive you. And I went,
yes, I'm always happy, mate. You know that.
No, but I felt, because it's a nice boat, I felt really bad that I dinged you. And I don't think it was my fault. I just want to.
Yeah.
I'm not saying.
No. I mean, I'm glad that we get to talk about this because I do think it was your fault and you did damage my boat. But look,
it's not a Tim Ferriss thing, okay? It's not. Well, it is. You didn't give me the proper instruction. And you were the skipper.
Sorry, mate. If you were led astray by the instruction, push your foot on the button until the anchor comes up. Sorry if that was too complicated for you radio guys. Hey, but the title, Happy As, and I'm glad that you, upon reflection, you go, you know, you've never seen me unhappy. And I mean, I do, of course. I don't wake up big smile every day, but I love the story with the title, Happy As, and you'll like this too.
Yeah.
I was talking to my oldest and dearest mate who features in the book. His name's Robbie. Right. And we've been mates since we were 5 years old. And we talk a few times a week, but he never watches TV. He only watches TV for the footy. So he actually doesn't know. He's never seen me on TV. Right. I don't think he ever has. He keeps saying to me, how are you going on Sale of the Century on Channel 9? Like he's got no idea what I do. And he's not a creative guy. He's not artistic. He's a very, very successful businessman, but he's not a TV guy. And we talk a few times a week. And he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm writing a book. He just burst out laughing. He said, what? He said, you can't write a book. You've never read a book in your life. He said, does it come with colouring in pencils? Do you have, what happens? And he said, what's it about? And I said, mate, it's about us growing up. It's about happy days, you know, when we were younger, and it was all about the beach and splashing around the pools and surfing and messing around on skateboards. It's about all that. And he goes, what's it called? And I said, I don't know. We're working on all the names at the moment. He said, there's only one name for it. Now, Jonesy, he's not a creative guy, right? He's not a TV guy. He's not a movie guy. He's not an ad guy. He said, there's only one name. I said, what's that? And he said, Happy As. And I went, oh, that's really good. I wish I thought of that. I said, why? And he said, from the moment I met you, we were 5 years old in the playground at Rose Bay Public School. From the moment I met you, you've had this big smile on your face. You've been this naughty, cheeky, happy kid. And that's never changed in the 52 years I've known you. I went, great. I love it. And what I love about it, Jonesy, is that, yes, it's a good name. And gee, I wish I thought of it because it's a good name for the book. But, mate, I love it that my oldest and dearest mate has played such an important part in the book. You know, that he can look at the book and go, I named that for my mate on Sale of the Century on Channel 9.
And not having read the book, but I know that your father passed away. How long ago did your dad?
15, 16. Oh, yeah, 15, 16 years ago.
And that's because my dad, he died in 2014. And it's like my dad was 71. How old was your dad?
70. Yeah, 70.
Yes. And when you look at it, that's kind of at the time, and it's weird, 2014, when he was 71, I sort of thought, oh, well, 71. But then I look at people like Mick Jagger and stuff like that. And I think, well, hang on, you know, we were kind of robbed of him, were we?
Yeah, absolutely. And I spent a lot of time on Dad in the book. There's a couple of chapters. One of them's about this watch, mate. I mean, if our viewers and our listeners go and buy the book, there it is. It is the most important chapter in the book, and it's so special to me. That chapter that took me ages to write. Some chapters with the silly TV stories, I'm like, that's a funny story. And then this chapter with Dad, I would sit down, I'd write it, I'd walk away, I'd cry, I'd come back, I'd have a cup of tea, I'd cry. You know, it took me the better part of a month on and off to little bits and pieces because I wanted to get the story exactly right. And then even in the audio book, I think I probably cried when I was telling the story because it just means so much to me. So, and they are and like your dad would have been too, you know, such a great influence on our lives and, you know, hopefully playing a huge part in who we are today and making sure we're grounded and we're reasonable human beings, but very special relationship with Dad. And that's, I spent a lot of time on that in the book. They're probably Mum and Dad, of course.
Yeah.
But they're my most important chapters in there. Because
also with your kids being adult kids now, we're closer with our adult kids than ever, than when our generation. Like I didn't start hanging out with my dad until I was about 30. And I remember he was going out. Like I love my dad. We got on well, but we had this, like he's my dad, I'm the son. And then my brother-in-law was saying, Jeff, what time are we going to Yum Cha on Friday? And I said, well, what's this? And I once a month we go for yum cha at Chinatown.
Oh,
and I'm going, well, I finished work. Why aren't I a part of this?
Yeah.
And he said, oh, well, yeah, mate, you can come if you want. And Dad said, didn't think you'd be interested? And I said, and then that started a tradition where, we'd go out for lunch, all of us, and then I got my eldest son involved in it. And it was great. And we still do it. When my youngest turned 18, we went out for yum cha for his 18, and Dad unfortunately couldn't be with us. But it's those things now.
That's right. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. And they're good. And these are the sorts of things, Jones. And as I was writing them, I'm going, these are lovely little stories for today, because all this technology is supposed to connect us, but it divides us, And the opening chapter of the book, we used to splash around this kiddies pool at North Bondi. You've been to Bondi Beach, the iconic kids pool. It's just a funny little thing for the viewers who haven't seen it. It's just an ordinary little pool, but it's quite iconic. And we used to splash around there. And all I remember from that time is just laughing and playing around and fish and chips and getting sunburned. And I was down, when I started writing the book, I knew I wanted to open it there with a chapter about that pool. So I went down there and I stood above the pool on the promenade and looked down, and mum and dad and two kids there, and the mum and dad are on their phones, and these ones, and the kids are on their iPads playing games. I'm like, you're missing. You're missing. We had such a great time. They were such high impact days, so simple, free, and it was just lovely, happy family times. And it was like, wow, things are changing, or things have changed for that. What a day out with the family means. You go down to the pool, you have a swim, you get out and you jump back on your phone, Yeah.
But it's like, they're in Bondi, they're doing it for the gram.
Right. The kids are doing it for the gram.
They're doing it for the gram.
But they were different times then. And this, and it was just, they were happy times. And I really hope, I worked hard to sort of capture it in the book. And I hope people can relate to that. And what I've found as I've sent the book out now, to family and friends, I knew that'd be supportive, but to people who independently, I've said, what do you think of this sort of stuff? And the stories all trigger different memories in people. So when I talk about the watch, everyone who said, oh yeah, my grandmother left me her locket, or my great-grandfather, I've got my great-grandfather's pillbox or something. So everyone's got a story. So it's all this flashback to, I've got that story, and I remember growing up, and I remember it being different. So I love it that people can relate and attach themselves to the nostalgia happening in the book.
My grandparents left me nothing. I didn't get anything out of it.
Not even that microphone. That's a beautiful microphone. I didn't believe it.
Not even money. Nothing. Got absolutely nothing.
You're probably a naughty kid. You're probably a naughty, nasty kid.
I was a lovely kid. Sure. I was very shy.
Well, they would have left you something if that was true.
I respect. So is this where we're at now? But I guess with your book, and like mine, it's that era of, you went out in the morning. Like when our era is when you went out in the morning and you didn't see your parents all day and the only time was the street lights come on. That's it. Yeah.
And you were safe.
Back in those days, like you rode around in utes with no, like remember just going in the back of a ute. I remember my dad used to take us to the tip, and more or less we were like an hockey strap to hold down bits of plywood and stuff on the back of the ute.
That's great.
That was the time. And you'd have an incinerator. Everyone had an incinerator. Remember the incinerator?
That's right.
You just burn all sorts of shit. Just tires and whatever. Just burn it. You didn't do recycling.
That's funny. Can you hold the cover up? I just want to tell people this story of the photo. So that's exactly right. Now that's my sisters and I on mini bikes, right? So Dad used to dismantle the mini bikes, put them in the back of the Ford Fairmont, and we'd drive out to the Kurnell Sandhills. But as you're just saying about you being an hockey strap in the back of the ute, Dad was a chain smoker. It took his life. There's a lot about it in the book. Yeah. So Dad he'd take the mini bikes out of the back and he'd start assembling them, right? He's got a cigarette in his mouth. He's holding the petrol tank of the bike here, and he's got the jerry can here, cigarette, and he's going, and then he'd say to my sister, as you can see in the photo, he'd say to my sister, Nikki, pull your socks up so you don't hurt yourself on the bike if you fall off.
Don't burn your leg. So, but these bikes, I'm looking at them. Are they Dexon rock hoppers?
Oh, you're on it. You're the bike guy. I don't remember, but they were funny little mini bikes, and we had a great time on them.
Man, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with mini bikes. And
Okay.
as you know, I'm obsessed with motorbikes now. And I had a book about mini bikes, and Dad came home one day and he said, "So you like mini bikes?" I said, "I love them." And he goes, "Well, maybe we should get you one." And I was the sort of kid that just went, "Oh, well, that's going to happen." But the mini bike never came.
Never happened.
It was never. I didn't learn to ride a motorbike until I was 19. I had to buy it myself and get a mate to teach me how to ride.
I gave you a mini bike.
Well, I love this story. So you're hosting an event in Melbourne. You're hosting an event, some sort of charity, and this guy comes up and says, "I've got this little mini bike for your kid. Give me $600 or something."
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's right.
And you said, "Oh no, man! I live at Dover Heights. What am I going to do with it?" And the night just goes on and on and on. And then at the end of it, he's so drunk. He's drunk, and he comes up and says, "Tell you what, if you let me get a picture, of you and me and my missus,
that's right,
you can have the bike."
That's right.
Which I've still got.
Well, the last time I saw a picture of it in your backyard, it was quite heavily overgrown with grass.
It's at my mate's farm, and it's the best. I'll say this to everyone listening: it's the best motorcycle the Chinese could manufacture, and it started with a pull start.
That's right, but now it's a planter box on your mate's farm. There's stuff growing out of it.
Well, he wanted to burn it. I said, "No, that's Larry's bike."
Incinerator. Yeah. Can you just mind that for me, please?
We cannot burn
it. I might want that back one day. How did you find the book writing process? What did it mean for you? Because we got so many stories to tell, and sometimes some of the stories I struggled with, others just came flying out, like the fun stuff. But how did you find them?
I was surprised that I got approached to write a book. Firstly, when they asked me, I went, "Really?" And then the editor gave me it was almost homework, and it was a quick turnaround. But it was almost like, so it's a childhood and pretty much same sort of format of what you got. And it's like someone's put a USB into my head, and I just sit here on my computer and just tap away. And it was amazing. I found it very cathartic. I really liked it. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, same. People kept talking about how cathartic it is to write a memoir. And we talk to authors every day on the morning show. I'm like, cathartic. And then actually, as I was
Good on you, Thomas Keneally. Tell us another one.
That's right. What else you got, Tom? But I kept hearing this, and it's difficult to explain, isn't it? And then I realized, sort of very early on, I'm like, oh, this is what cathartic feels like.
Yeah.
But I did find that, and I found it joyous to tell stories. And as I was writing stories, I was thinking, I wonder if anyone else will actually, care about this. But I know my mum would be proud of this story, or my sisters will love this story. But yeah, I did find it was a really interesting process. And what we do, it's very jazz handsy and fun. He's the fun guy, the Benny Hill music. So there was a lot in my life that I've never thought before to bring to the table, or to put out there. A lot of stuff about growing up with mum and dad and all that sort of stuff. But as I started writing, I thought, this is nice. This makes me feel nice. I hope it makes other people reflect on their family time as well.
How'd you feel about writing about Sylvie? Was there trouble?
We've got two very different stories about how we met, and we always have. My story, Sylvie, my wife, was a flight attendant on Ansett Airlines, for those young ones that used to be around before Virgin. And Sylvie was a flight attendant. I was flying to Melbourne, and my story and her story are completely opposite.
Okay, well, let's go with, which one do you want to go with?
Well, my story is printed in a HarperCollins book, and that means that my story is like biblical, yeah?
Yes.
So her story doesn't stand a chance, because now my story is in a book.
Yeah.
My story is that she flirted with me and trapped me. That's my story. Her story is that I flirted with her and trapped her. But mine's in the book. So,
where were you at this point in your life? You were on The Price is Right?
No. I was on. I was doing breakfast radio at 2UW.
Yep.
Right, and I was flying down to Melbourne to host Tonight Live with Steve Vizard.
Oh, they were the big times.
They were the big times. They were happy days.
What about that?
And that was a big show, and it was fabulous to get the occasional opportunity to do that. And I was flying down. I was booked on a Qantas flight. It was pouring rain in Sydney, gale force winds, the sideways rain, the whole deal. flights cancelled all over the place. And I went into Qantas and I said, we've got nothing going, till 10 o'clock at night. And the lady said to me, maybe run across to Ansett, they might have something going. So I ran across, there was no car park at that point in the middle of the terminals. So I'm going from where Virgin is now in Sydney across to Qantas, sideways rain, pouring rain, hail, the whole thing, and I'm soaking wet, right? So I get on this Ansett flight. I was sitting in 3B, but soaked, dripping.
Up the front of the plane, though.
Up the front. Vizard was,
Yeah, of course, yeah. They were the days.
So Sylvia, this is the bit. This is the bit where the stories splinter, yeah? So I'm sitting there, soaking wet, freezing cold, tired because I've been up since 3:30 doing Brekkie Radio. Sylvie walks out of the galley up the front of the plane, and this is where, and I remember everything went into slow motion. I heard the song Dreamweaver as she walked to me in slow motion.
Right, okay.
She came up to me and said, "You look horrible." And I went, "That's a pickup line. She's flirting with me."
Of course.
She's fully flirting with me.
She's Polish. They're very, direct.
Straightforward. She loves me. So this is good. Anyway, we flirted a little. Well, she flirted with me for the flight. And then eventually we were getting off the flight. It's a lovely chapter in the book, my story.
Yeah.
And then now this is it. I reckon when she came out to serve me dinner,
yes,
I reckon she'd undone the top button of her blouse. So Jonesy, when she leaned down over in front of me to put the tray down,
here we go.
This is what I maintain. She said that definitely did not happen. So maybe it was just in my imagination.
We've got breasts for you today, Miss Deb.
Yes, what would you like to eat?
This is sexy. I like it.
This is sexy, right?
It's sexy.
And then she says that never happened. I said, okay, maybe it was in my mind, whatever. And then
that never happened. She did the button right up to the top.
Yeah. But she's Polish, and of course the Polish cracked the Enigma code that won the Second World War. So she's very conniving. She's very clever.
And your wife is very direct.
Very direct.
But in a good way. Like I enjoy
way.
I've met her like probably, a handful of times, but we always and you know what I'm like? I got the whimsy.
Yes.
And I remember one time I said, "Oh, we should catch up." She goes, "When?" I went, "Well, I don't know exactly. Well, when? Well, next week or
No, she's good.
I'll get and I said, "We'll get yeah, okay. Well, I'll put it in the scale. Well, I don't know, Sylvia. I don't know what's happening. It's an Australian thing.
It was just a TV thing to say. Let's catch up.
We'll catch up. It doesn't mean start making salads."
But step away from the beetroot salad, Sylvia. I don't know if they're coming over.
You know what? I have regret because I never I should have capitalized on that. I should have said yes.
She's very direct. She's very direct, and I can only say this now because she's not here. If she was here in the lounge room, of course. But
and she won't see this.
No,
you and your mate.
I don't think she even knows. She's ignoring the book because I've written my side of the story. But she's very direct and fabulously supportive at the same time. So and it's exactly what I've needed as my pillar of strength over the last 30, 40 years in the business, because the business is so crazy. If it weren't for Sylvie keeping me sort of on track and sane with her straightforward European ways, which I adore, I'm so grateful for that relationship, because everyone in this business particularly needs a great man or woman behind them who can. I mean, we work in the business, we don't even understand it, but someone who supports us and will help us through trying to understand it or understand how it makes us feel. I think that's really important. And that's one of the keys to our marriage. She's, we support each other to the end, obviously, but she's so wonderful with that. I love that about her. And it's true to the title of the book. I actually am, I'm generally pretty happy. And even in failure with the media, I can always find the lighter side with that. And that was always Dad's thing. He wrote a little column for a magazine called LungNet News, which was a brochure that went out to people suffering with lung conditions.
Right.
And he found a little niche in there where he wrote a little column called The Lighter Side. And lo and behold, he could find the lighter side. He was dying, but he could find the lighter side of stuff. Right. Stories about him doing wheelies on his mobility scooter and, chasing pretty girls up and down the beach on his scooter. Like, he just found this stuff, and people loved that column. And he was like that all of his life. Even, in the hospital, in his dying days, he was asking the doctor to put Viagra in his drip. Like that was it. It was just like that. So I think I've always been able to look for and find, thankfully, the lighter side. And Sylvie and my family have played a large part in it. I'm very grateful that during all those stormy days on TV, and there'll be more for sure, that I can come home and be helped through that process and look for the lighter side. And there's always positives in it. And Sylvie's offers great guidance in that respect.
And that's great. And look at you, you're here for the long time. The chase, really, that's why I wanted that gig, because really it's a gig for life. That is, once you're in there, once you're in there, you're in.
Mate, I don't know about that. My eyesight's pretty dodgy. Those words are big. There's only...
Can I just say one thing about the chase that threw me off when I was doing it? They don't tell you the questions beforehand.
Right.
And and this is probably why I didn't get the gig. I said, well, that kind of makes no sense. I do a lot of questions on radio.
Yes.
It would be easier if I just read all the questions, then we don't have to stop for a retake or anything like that.
Yes.
Is that probably could have mucked my chances up when you go in there
because how's your Chinese, your Italian, and your Latin? How is that, mate? Your Spanish? They're big. Yeah, there's some challenging words on there, but
But you can do it.
Well, I get through. I get by.
But you're killing it. My mum, you know what? Because I didn't tell anyone else about it as well, because I'm sick of being the guy until now.
Yeah. So,
and I told my mum, and we're sitting there watching it one afternoon, and I'm just sitting there watching you do it, and and it's mixed feelings because you're doing great on it. You're really good. And Mum's sitting there, and she goes, "Yeah, he's a lot better than what you would have been."
Oh, thanks, Mum. Thank you, Mum.
Thanks for that, Mum. But you are. I think you are. I think that there's a lot of it would be a tough gig. Much respect for and pulling it off.
It's different. It's different to anything else I've done. People go, "Oh, you're a game show host." But it's not a game show. It's a quiz show.
Yeah.
It's a cracking pace. Lots of challenge. Price is Right was games. I was out there playing games.
There's bikini girls.
Here comes the yodeling guy. Here comes people go, "Oh, you did that. You can do the chase." No, they are two completely different beasts. Completely different.
Is it true that you tried to get the little yodeling guy? What was that called? The climbing up the cliff
cliffhanger.
Did you get that set?
No, I wanted that for a bar at my house.
Man, that would have been so good.
That would have been so good.
Where is that now?
I don't know.
Because I was at Channel 9. Remember they had the two, there were two blocks of cash. It didn't work out well as a mascot. It was two blocks of cash and they had little eyes on them. Remember? And then they got the cash kangaroo, or they got something happened and they were chucking out the two blocks of cash.
And you couldn't get that?
Well, I said, but they're massive. What do you do with it? Like, I'm not going to dress up with it and go around the house.
Yes, you are. Of course you are. The money's here. The money's here. Are you going to write another book?
I don't know. What would it be about? I don't know.
60 Shades?
60 Shades. Well, it's funny. Like 50 Shades was like this lead. Maybe when I turned 60. So like I'm 54 now. So.
But you got more stories. I know you got more stories. You got a lifetime of great stories. And you got a great memory. You got a great memory. You remember stuff like breaking my boat with the anchor because you did that wrong. And you remember getting the mini bike. And you remember the Christmas party at Channel 9 on the helipad. See, I don't have that memory. I don't have that recall.
We haven't even talked about your Harley.
Right.
Do you want to talk about your Harley?
Do whatever. You're hosting, apparently.
So here's the story. We'll wrap it up with this story because it's a great story.
All right.
Larry Emdur rings me. He says he's got a Harley Davidson. I don't want my Harley anymore.
Because for people who don't know, in the business, you are the go-to bike guy. If you wanted to buy a bike or sell a bike, you go to Jonesy.
And you said, I don't want people traipsing from my house. I don't want time wasters. I said, Laz, and that's right. You said, do you want to buy it? I said, mate, I've got 8 bikes at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't need, including that little Chinese one. I said, I don't need another one. But I'll tell you what, I'll have a look around. 3 days later, this is without a word of a lie, Scott Cam from Channel 9 rings me, mate, I want to buy a Harley. Do you know anyone? As a matter of fact, I do. And so I thought you were good mates with Scott. You didn't really know each other too well. So that was a meeting.
We just knew each other around. But
it was, you know. And so he came around to your house, money was exchanged, and it was I thought, a fair deal. Yes. Anyway, I see Scott Cam the other day.
Yes.
And he says, I want to sell my Harley. So do you want to buy it back?
I'll give you $2,000. How much you reckon it's worth?
I'd take it off his hands right now. I'd say 14. I'll give you 14.
Okay. What about we do this? The damage you caused to my boat was 12. So I'll give you 2.
Okay.
You get it for
I'm gonna
14, I'll give you 2.
bike.
How's it?
Done and done.
This podcast turned into a Gumtree segment.
And available right now. Larry, this is great. I've done the flick through.
Right.
But now I'm going to do the big.
Good.
But I'm reading where the crawdads sing at the moment.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I know the one you mean, but okay.
It's a great book. But
do you know the people who wrote that? I mean, you feel compelled to.
I feel bad. Like it's and now you've got hurt face. And now
I don't understand why you prioritize that piece of.
I'm not going to
get on it. It's the easiest read you'll ever read.
It's not the easiest read. Can we get Sylvie on the line? I want to hook up. I want to hook up.
Whoa. It's not Tinder, mate. It's not Tinder. It's a book podcast.
Larry, I love this. Can we do this again?
Let's do this again.
The beer. Have you still got your boat? Have you still got your boat?
No.
Gone.
No, it sank after someone put a hole in with the anchor. Anyway, that's another podcast.
I'm a shit friend. I just realized, what good am I? I'm no good.
Mate, I'm through it now. I got some advice on through it. Mate, let's do it again. Let's have yum-cha, more importantly. I don't want to do that TV thing where we go, let's have lunch. Let's actually have lunch. Thanks for joining us. Go out and buy Jonesy's book.
No, buy this.
Buy that. Okay, buy that.
Available now. Booktopia.
Okay. Booktopia. Better than when the crawdads dance or whatever that is.
Sing. It's a lot better than that.
Crawdads sing.
In your face, Keneally.
Thanks to Larry Emdur and Brendan Jones. You can find links to all books in the description below or head over to booktopia.com.au. If you enjoyed our show today, drop us a review on Apple Podcasts or a like on Spotify and let us know what you think. Or if you're enjoying our show, you can subscribe to our channel and be notified whenever new episodes drop. Links in the description. Join us next week as we sit down for a special festival episode. The Byron Writers Festival kicks off next week and we are delighted to sit down with 2 very special guests. Who, you may ask? Tune in to find out. Thanks for listening and never stop reading.